In this video I will show how I installed a Proficlear Premium XL drum filter with 2 moving beds and discharge module for my 100,000 litre koi pond, which has lots of other fish, orf, ghost koi, loads of goldfish and shubunkins, as well as 5 sturgeon which tend to live and feed off the bottom. Previously I had a large pressurized container system which was a real pain to clean, the filter material becoming clogged very easily, and despite a large amount of ultraviolet light with 2 55-watt bulbs and a 75-watt bulb, the water was always green in the summer. The site first had to be cleared of a large amount of vegetation on either side of a fence, and you can see that the vegetation required a digger to remove this by taking it away in a dumper truck and clearing the site. This took quite a lot of work, but without a digger it would have been impossible to remove all the roots. Eventually the site was cleared and we were able to start to make the base for the Oase filter system. The digger first smoothing out the area to make it flat and clearing the other side of the fence where there was lots of vegetation growing. With 3 tons of class 1 bottoming, the site was levelled and flattened down with the digger, following which we placed some fine dust to produce a smooth base for the concrete slabs. We used 900 by 600 by 50mm slabs to make the base. It's very important to make sure that this is completely level. Note the 2 slabs at the top left hand side to support the Biotron UVC clarifiers, and also the small table stand to hold the air pump. The drum filter module requires to stand 200mm higher than the other modules, so we used 4 concrete slabs, one on top of the other, each 50mm thick, to build up the height to 200mm. Note the 2 slabs at the top left to support the 2 Biotron 180 UVC clarifiers which attach at the side to the drum filter. The 2 pond pumps directly pump into the UVC clarifiers which then fill the Proficlear drum filter. I ordered a Oase filter system from Water Garden Limited in Portsmouth, a premium Oase dealer, and these were delivered in pallets all the way from Portsmouth up to the West Highlands. There were lots of additional boxes with all the connections, jubilee clips and wiring and controllers. Unfortunately, only the drum filter and discharge module were in stock at the time that I placed the order. The 2 moving bed modules came into stock from Germany and were shipped to us within 2 weeks. In the meantime, I measured exactly the distance that these 2 modules would be apart so that we could start to connect the 110mm pipework to return the water back to the pond. Fortunately, the measurements were easy to calculate from the diagrams in the Oase instruction manuals. It can be seen that the discharge module has 5 110mm outlets onto which we connected the pipes. I thought that to save space it would be good to have the 2 far right pipes on top of the first 3 pipes. This gives the appearance of a squid trying to escape from the pond filter. We then ran 5 pipes down over the grass towards the pond to return the water into the pond. However, this was rather ugly and I was unsure as to how to camouflage these, thinking first of all perhaps covering them with artificial grass or boxing them in. I decided to leave them as they were over the winter period and think about what we could do in the spring to change the layout and cover up the pipes. Fortunately, I already had power out to the site through armoured cable, so I connected into this and ran further cables to the new sockets for the control system, including the EGC cloud controller, which connects to the internet, allowing me to control the whole system with the internet. There are also sockets for the Proficlear drum filter, the booster for the motor, as the drum filter is larger than the compact filters and requires a bigger amperage. There are also sockets for the air pump and for the 2 Bitron UVC clarifiers. I also had to put in new sockets down at the pond to power up the 2 new pumps. These are Aquamax Eco Expert 26,000 pumps, which pump the water up into the drum filter. I already have an Aquarius Universal Premium Eco Expert pump 22,000, which powers the fountain in the centre of the pond. These 3 pumps are all daisy chain linked to the EGC Insenio controller, which also controls the Proficlear Premium XL drum filter, all the controls being accessible via the Oase app on my iPhone. Once the system was started, I discovered that as the water was so dirty that the sieves were blocking much more quickly than anticipated. Therefore, the cleaning cycles were very frequent. However, as can be seen, the water on the left is the water outlet to the pond, and on the right, the discharged dirty water after being filtered out by the sieves, demonstrating how effective the sieves drum filter are and how dirty my water was with the use of only the pressurized filter system, although the water parameters were always perfect with no toxins. Following the summer months, there has been a build-up of slime and algae on the sieves despite the washing. However, after cleaning these with a gentle power wash, the cycles of cleaning have reduced dramatically to only 3 every hour, previously being as high as 20 per hour when the water was at its warmest during the midsummer weeks, with algae growing at its fastest rate. As the system was now so well oxygenated with the air pump running through the 2 moving beds and the discharge module, I decided to remove all of the Elodia oxygenating plant, which had grown enormously over the few years that it had been in the pond, from 3 pots of 6 small plants into this huge pile of what could only be called weed, which is now not available as it is banned being an invasive plant. And being so invasive, it is not allowed to get into the natural water system. This picture shows the outlet from the bottom drains of each of the modules, which is open-ended, onto which I attach a plastic hose 40 meters long to allow discharge of the sludge and water from the bottom of the modules, which should be done every month, opening each of the slide valves for 10 seconds at a time. I was fortunate enough to have a field into which I could drain away the water, However, the connection can be made directly into the discharged dirty water from the Proficlear drum, and I will show that I did this later on in the video. This shows the connection of the two Bitron Premium 180 UVC clarifiers, which are fed directly into the drum filter. Note that the bottom drain outlet from the drum filter has to come out and then run down to the ground, as there is little room between the two filters to run the pipe out from ground level. This shows the AP 12,000 pond aeration pump, which pumps air into the two moving bed modules and the discharge module. This picture shows the overall setup from the end of the discharge module, which I later modified to run a rill. And this is a view from a distance showing that I planted a small privet hedge to try and camouflage the large modules. I then decided that the long pipe runs across the grass was very ugly, and therefore I decided to build a rill out of sleepers and build a small top pond. This is the excavation of the small top feeder pond, and as you see, we have removed the long pipes which run down over the fence and onto the grass. The excavation work was carried out by the same local contractor using his digger, making the initial pond only about a metre deep. The pond shape was formed by using sleepers placed vertically and tightly screwed together. The pond structure will support the slabs and earthworks underneath the pond filter system. We decided that the pond at the top should be lined up with the slabs. However, I decided that to get the water to run at the same angle as the pipework into the pond, that we would create a turn, which in fact turned out to be very attractive. This shows the local joiner working on the rill and joining up the sleepers to form the whole shape. The bottom of the rill was filled in with bottoming, and then on top of this, to produce a flat surface, I had some excess skirting from around our static caravan, and these were placed longwise along the rill, each being 6 metres long, providing a very flat surface onto which we placed the liner, using of course some underlay underneath the liner in the first place. Once the shape was completed, we placed the liner to check that there was adequate runoff, but we then built a small weir at the end, and this shows the rill filled with water, which is somewhat muddy at the beginning. In this picture you can see that the discharge from the bottom drains has been changed and is now running straight out and is connected with a Y junction into the pipe which carries the discharge water from the Proficlear filter. As this was running into a bed below a tree and flooding the area, the same contractor dug a long trench and placed all of the unused pipework, joining them end to end to run the water far out into the field, so that I would no longer need to connect the blue plastic pipe. Now the main discharge water from the drum as well as the bottom drains are connected and run far out into the field, keeping the area dry around the pond. The following sequences show photographs of the completed rill and the waterfall. We created a sharp edge using slate obtained from a local builder's merchant, and this produces a nice sharp edge for the water to run off. The pipework was tidied up and new plants were purchased to complete landscaping around the rill, and the gunnerer, which was already there, flourished and has gradually grown to create quite a feature. As you can see, there is netting over the pond to stop the heron, which on a regular basis comes to visit but can no longer access the pond, although it can be seen at times standing on top of the netting. As you can see, the plants have begun to grow and are looking very attractive, and so too has the pond itself, which has flourished, with the plants growing very much over the last season. The rill has now 3 small fountains which are making a very attractive feature. The landscaping is now looking very attractive with the plants growing nicely, and I've also placed floodlights along the side of the rill and small halogen lamps in the rill to light up the small fountain. As you can see, the overall appearance of the pond is really very attractive. Unfortunately, the plastic decoy is no deterrent to the heron, which is determined to come along. The privet hedge is beginning to grow and camouflage the large black modules, as well as the large 110mm pipework. With fresh gravel in the path around the rill, I am really very pleased with the final outcome. As can be seen from the video which is now running, the overall appearance of the pond has much improved, with the plants flourishing, a very attractive rill, and a lovely sound of water from the rill and from the fountain. I'd like to thank Water Garden Limited, who are based in Portsmouth, for supplying the Oase equipment. They are a premium dealer for Oase, and in particular I would like to thank Bradley Greenwood for his excellent technical support and his ongoing support for any small issues which have arisen since I installed the equipment. The water quality and clarity is excellent, and I would highly recommend these Oase Proficlear drum filter systems, moving bed modules and discharge module, as they keep the water in excellent condition and my fish are absolutely thriving and growing extremely well. I've not included videos of the drum filter in action, nor of the moving bed modules and the discharge module, and I've not taken videos of the fish, but this could all be the subject of a further video in due course.